Hello students, in this lecture I will be discussing with you about high frequency response and equivalent circuit for BJT of BJT considering as small signal. So this is the topic of discussion in this lecture. So that means we can say that the response of any BJT is dependent on frequency. That means we can say that if BJT is acting like an amplifier when working in the active region, that means the main property for a BJT is to produce amplification. That means to produce gain of the signal that has been applied as the input. That means the small signal which has been applied at the input, BJT needs to provide gain to that, and then only the amplification by the BJT could be established. So gain is the important point of analysis for this case, and we can say that gain should be a function of frequency, because here we will be seeing that the high frequency response of BJT, that means if the frequency of the input AC signal is varied from a low value to a high value, that variation can be seen functionally to be related with gain. So we can say that gain is a function of frequency. So that means our main aim is to get a stable gain or get an appreciable gain from the output of the BJT amplifier or transistor amplifier, but the one of a big constraint is in the path of that is frequency. So if for a small signal operation, if the frequency is varied from low to high value, we can expect that gain should vary. So now let us see the general frequency response of an AC amplifier. Now what is AC amplifier? AC amplifier is the transistor amplifier which can amplify AC signals, AC signal amplification. So here amplification. So here the frequency response of this AC amplifier is defined as, it is the plot of gain versus frequency. So what is frequency response? It is the plot or the graph of gain versus frequency, where frequency is plotted in the x-axis and gain is plotted in the y-axis. Now this frequency response can be obtained for both the AC and DC amplifier. DC amplifier is an amplifier which can amplify DC signals only, and also in some cases it can also amplify AC signals as well. So the response of an AC amplifier, or the frequency response can be better said, can be drawn like this. Let us see how it look like first, and from there we can be able to make our discussion. In the x-axis I have told you the frequency is plotted, and in the y-axis it is gain A is plotted. It is gain A denoted by A. Now the characteristic will look like something like this. Initially there will be a sharp increase starting from zero frequency, then a stable flat region, and after a certain point once again a steady decrease touching almost up to the frequency axis. So this is ideally the frequency response of an AC amplifier, and you can see from this characteristic that in the middle region of frequency, suppose we are taking 2 points on the frequency axis as f1 and f2, and between these 2 points almost the curve is flat or constant almost. That means parallel to the frequency axis. That means it indicates irrespective of the variation of frequency, there will be no change in the gain of the amplifier, or this gain could be said maximum. So this is the maximum gain. Suppose this is A max, or rather we can denote it as A mid. Now at the middle range, at this particular middle range where the gain is found to be constant for the amplifier, here the transistor amplifier is normally operated because it is giving a flat constant gain. At low frequencies, you can see in this region the gain steadily decreases, and this gain at the low frequencies, that is from 0 to f1, between this range, the gain, why this gain steadily decreases is because of the presence of the coupling and bypass capacitors in the transistor amplifier circuit. You know what is the role of coupling and bypass capacitor? Coupling and bypass capacitors are used for their individual purposes, but due to their inherent capacitive action, you know that the capacitive reactance Xc is equal to 1 by 2 pi Fc. That means the capacitive reactance Xc is inversely proportional to the frequency. So that means as frequency is decreased, that means Xc will be increased like this. So if this happens to be so, then we can say that since the reactance of the capacitor will be increased, and for that case, when we are working with coupling and bypass capacitors at this low frequency region 0 to f1, the capacitors will be acting like an open circuit. But you know, for small signal amplifier analysis, to get the AC equivalent circuit, you know, we generally consider that the coupling and bypass capacitors should be visualized as short circuits. But here we can see, due to this nature of inverse action of capacitive reactance with frequency, we can say that actually in this region at low frequency from 0 to f1, the capacitors will be acting as open circuits. So they will be no longer acting like short circuit. So because of this, the capacitive reactance will be large enough to drop some of the AC signal voltages. So because of this high increase of capacitive reactance, some AC signal voltage will be dropped because of this. And since this AC signal voltage is dropping, that means it will directly affect the output of the transistor amplifier. So as a result, this will make a loss of the voltage gain as we go on in reaching towards the 0 Hz or the DC value. So more and more we are reaching or approaching towards the 0 Hz or DC value of the frequency, more will be the loss that will be observed for this transistor amplifier. Now similarly, at high frequency region, that is from f2 up to the infinity, that means at this region we are observing that again this voltage gain is steadily decreasing, and this is because of some different reasons. So what are those reasons? There are two main reasons because of this decrease in the voltage gain at high frequency ranges from f2 and above, that is up to infinity, in this range f2 to up to infinity. This is because of two reasons. One is the transistor has internal capacitances across its junctions. So the transistor will be having internal capacitances across its junctions. So one is, and these capacitances will be called junction capacitances. You know from the p-n junction theory that when two dissimilar type of semiconductors are kept at either side of a junction, that means at the point where they are met with each other, a junction is created, and when those two different types or dissimilar types of semiconductors are met at the junction point, then the two semiconductor blocks may be considered as the two parallel plates of a capacitor, and the junction area is having some depletion layer created, and that depletion layer will act like an insulator or the spacing between the two parallel plate capacitor, and as a result of that replication, that junction will be providing you some property about capacitance, and that will be called junction capacitance. So because the BJT is having two junctions, that means rather we can say it will be giving three junctional capacitances, one between collector to base, another between base to emitter, and another between emitter to collector. So there will be replication of three junction capacitances inside the BJT amplifier. So let us see the circuit first, and then we will be discussing further about this junction capacitance. So let us look at this circuit. It is a BJT amplifier with voltage divider bias. Okay, this is the circuit. You know what is this? This is the input voltage, input alternating signal Vs. This is its internal resistance Rs. This is coupling capacitor 1. You know, these two are bias resistances R1 and R2. It is connected with plus VCC for the biasing voltage, and this is RC. This is coupling capacitor 2. Output is taken from the collector of this BJT, and this is emitter resistance RE, and this is bypass capacitor CE parallel to the emitter resistor. So this is all about the basic circuit, and now let us find that how the junction capacitances can be shown in this diagram. So between the collector, this is the collector, this is the base, and this is the emitter, you know. Now between the collector and the base, let this capacitor is shown like this, and this is termed by or denoted by CBC, that is capacitor between base collector. Between base and emitter, another is connected, it is CBE. Then base and emitter, between collector and emitter, a capacitor is connected, which is CCE. So three capacitors are shown like this, and all these capacitances CBC, CBE and CCE are internal junction capacitances. Okay, so now these capacitances at high frequencies will be providing you very low reactance, because at high frequency, as frequency will be increased, reactance will be decreased. So because of low reactances of them at high frequencies, what they will naturally do, they will provide bypass paths for the AC signal. So as a result of that, the normal transistor action will be prevented, and it will create a loss in the voltage gain. That means the required amount of signal after amplification by the transistor will not be reaching at the output at this terminal. So we can say that that decrease or that loss of signal will be establishing the loss in the voltage gain, because some of the signals will be getting some bypass paths to flow through these internal capacitors into the ground without reaching at the output. So it will make a loss in the voltage gain and output will be decreased. So from this discussion you can understand that why that at high frequency between f2 to that region at high frequency where f2 to infinity, why the voltage gain of the transistor amplifier is steadily decreasing. So this is one reason, because of the presence of this internal junction capacitances. Another type of capacitances may be present, and that is called stray varying capacitances. And how this can be formed? This is the another reason for loss of voltage gain at high frequency, for similar reason, because at high frequency they will be once again showing their internal resistance, their reactances to go down, and as a result they will provide the bypass path for the AC signal, and which will result loss of voltage gain also. And how these stray varying capacitances can be shown? It is like something like the wires with which this circuit is being connected. That wire will be acting like a plate of one capacitor, and the ground lines, those are created, that means this line will be like this. So this is the ground and this is the wire, and this ground will be acting like the another plate of parallel packed capacitor, and between this wire and the ground lines a virtual capacitive action will be noted, and this is called the generation of stray varying capacitance. So this virtual capacitance which will be created between the two, so this will be called the stray varying capacitance, and it will also be an unwanted capacitance, and it will establish once again the drop of voltage gain at high frequencies. So because of these things we will be understood that there will be some problems for high frequency response of the BJT amplifier to get the voltage gain established at a certain respectable value. Now if we segregate this circuit, this total circuit diagram in two parts, one at the input side and another the output side. For the input side, the stray varying capacitance for the input side will be denoted by CWI, and for the output side, this is for the input side, and for the output side it is CWO. This is for output side. So we will mark or denote these two varying capacitances like this. And now, but in this high frequency response, this CC1, CC2 and CE will not pose any problem, because they will anyway will become shorted or short circuited, and they will act like a short circuit, so they will not be providing any problem at high frequency response. But who will provide the problem? Who will create the problem for high frequency response? One is these two, CWI and CWO, the stray varying capacitances, and the junction capacitances, the three junction capacitances. So because of that, now let us once again go back to the frequency response curve once again. So this was our frequency response curve. So now we have understood what is the significance of these two frequencies, F1 and F2, below of which F1 the signal the voltage gain falls off sharply, and above F2 the voltage gain falls off sharply. These two frequencies, these two defining F1 F2 frequencies are called F1 F2 are called cutoff frequencies. So what is the meaning of cutoff? That means it is here the cutoff means the voltage gain will be steadily cut off, will be steadily decreased after this point, that means outside this point. That is the meaning of cutoff here. So we can say that now at these two frequencies F1 and F2, if this is the voltage gain denoted by A max or A mid at the mid area, that is between the F1 and F2, it is called the mid frequency area. between F1 and F2, it is mid frequency region. Now at F1 and F2, the gain will be found as, if this is F1, then at this point the gain will be found as, this curve should be drawn a little bit higher than this, like this. So this higher portion is my A max or A mid, and the gain corresponding to F1 and F2 will be my A max divided by root 2. That means both at frequencies F1 and F2, the gain should be 1 by root 2 times of the maximum gain, and maximum gain means the mid band gain, or A mid or A max. So this is the significance of this frequency response. So our intention is, since at these two frequencies, especially for high frequency response, we will put our focus on F2, not on F1. Because of this F2, this is a boundary, this is a defining frequency below which we are seeing that the gain is almost constant and it is keeping its maximum value, but above this F2 we will be seeing that the gain will fall drastically. So our intention is to find the value of F2. That means the find the value of this F2 will be called upper cutoff frequency. That means to find the value of upper cutoff frequency, so that we can estimate when the gain will actually fall for this transistor amplifier. So this F2 will be called upper cutoff frequency, and F1 will be called lower cutoff frequency. Okay, so our intention is what? To find F2, so that we can make an estimate of from when on the gain will actually fall sharply for the transistor amplifier. Now let us see how that thing can be done, that determination of upper cutoff frequency can be done, and for that we will be using the high frequency AC equivalent small signal model for transistor amplifier. Now let us see how it can be designed. Now the significant part of the determination of upper cutoff frequency is that if we allow the BJT to work well and above the upper cutoff frequency, that more and more frequency will be if increased, then these these capacitive reactances of stray varying capacitance and the internal junction capacitances will be acting like a short circuit, and as a result of that the BJT may get damaged at very appreciably high frequency. So it is very important to stop the BJT at some high frequency value, and beyond which it will not be allowed to operate, because to protect the BJT from getting damaged. So it is very much needed for us to stop the BJT, to stop the voltage, to stop getting the appreciable voltage gain out of the BJT at some appreciably high frequency value, and that is the requirement for us. And for that, what we will do, we will draw the high frequency AC equivalent small signal circuit. So let us see how that can be drawn. So first, it is high frequency AC equivalent circuit. Now you are familiar with this model. This is basically the hybrid. So this resembles the hybrid pi model. You know what is hybrid pi model? I have shown this model to you in one of the last lectures. It is basically these resistances, hybrid pi model of BJT, that is being used, and it is so in this model. This is the portion which looks like a pi structure, pi symbol, and this is the BJT. This part is the BJT. So since this part is the BJT, this side is the base of BJT, this is the collector, and this terminal is emitter. And since it is expressed in C mode, so the emitter should be shown grounded. So this portion is grounded. This is at ground. Now here in this model, you know, one resistance will be there and one current source will be there. I had told you in my last lecture that we generally denote this resistance as beta RE dash, and this current source is IC, that is equal to beta IB, all in small letters. That means they will be AC quantities, and beta will be beta AC, not beta DC. And this current source is shown in a diamond shape, not in circle shaped. A circle shape means it is independent source, and diamond shape means it is a dependent source. So since this source is dependent on IB, that means a current, the value of this source, which is IC, is dependent on the value of IB via this relation. So we can say that it is a current controlled current source. So this is a current controlled current source transistor amplifier. Okay, this model will be called current controlled current source transistor amplifier for hybrid pi. Now here in this case, and since it is current controlled current source, that means it is such a current source which is dependent on any other value of current, and that is the current at the input side. So if we can complete this diagram, so this is the current on which this current is dependent, that is the output current will be dependent on input current via this relation. And so this is IE, emitter current flowing through to the emitter, this is base, this is emitter, and this is collector. So we can say this is a current controlled current source, and that is represented as a diamond shaped source. If it is not so, then it should be shown as a circular source. Okay, that means like this. It is independent source, but it is a dependent source. This is the circuit symbol of a dependent source, and it is such a dependent source which is current controlled current source. It is a current source dependent on some current value, which is the input current IB here in this circuit. So it is current controlled current source, and this amplifier representation will be called current controlled current source transistor amplifier, or alternately called current amplifier. Hybrid pi model of current amplifier with BJT. So now in this circuit, this voltage is actually VB, or we can say VBE, and since this is a pi model, this beta RE dashed can be alternately written as R pi, and this VBE can be alternately written as V pi. So if we now modify this circuit, we may draw this circuit like this. this is R pi now, and across the voltage is between base and emitter, it is V pi, which is nothing but VBE. So these are the replacements, and because this is pi model, hybrid pi model, so everything in the subscript is denoted at the input side of the circuit of the model, it is denoted by pi, and this is nothing but IC. This is base, this is emitter, and this is collector. So this is IB and this is IC, and here it is IE. So since now it is something like this, so we can complete this circuit writing the model as R pi over here, and the voltage across this is V pi between base and emitter. This side is plus and this side is minus, because emitter is grounded, it is in common emitter mode. Now this IC can be written as beta IB, you know already. So this IB, so we can write IC equal to beta IB, and IB can be written as beta into V pi by R pi, beta into V pi by R pi, because from here this is R pi, across it the voltage is V pi, so V by R is current through this resistance R pi, which is IB. So instead of IB we are writing V pi by R pi. So now alternately we can write it as beta by R pi into V pi, or IC equal to GM into V pi, where GM is beta by R pi. What is this GM? This GM is called now in this model, in this hybrid pi model, this GM which we have found, this is called transconductance. Transconductance. What is transconductance? Trans comes from the name transfer. That means it is basically a ratio to find the conductance. You know what is conductance? Conductance is I by V. That is conductance. And since there is this name trans is given, that means here the voltage should be at the input side and the current should be at the output side. That means when we will work with those quantities where it is a ratio of one input side quantity and another output side quantity, that type of quantities will be called trans quantity. So I once again repeat, the trans quantities are those, it is the ratio of voltages and currents where one quantity will be representing the output side and the another will be representing the input side, and then this transfer or the trans term will come. So here it is the trans quantity 1, output side current I and input side current V. So for a common emitter amplifier, you know the output side current is IC and the input side voltage is VBE. So here in this case it is IC divided by, we have in the hybrid pi model we have written VBE, we have replaced VBE with V pi. So this is IC by V pi. So we can say that in this model this GM, which is found as beta by R pi, this is nothing but IC by V pi. So this is the relation. So any of the relation we should use to represent this model for high frequency response here. So we can write alongside this IC, this is nothing but, this IC should be nothing but, from this relation IC should be GM V pi. So we may write here as GM V pi. Okay, this relation, we have used this relation. So this is GM V pi. So this is the hybrid pi model in terms of IC equal to GM V pi. Now this model where IC equal to beta IB is written, this model I have told you it is called current controlled current source transistor amplifier or current amplifier. But this model, which is similar to this model, only the difference is this beta IB is replaced with GM V pi. This model will be named differently and it is called voltage controlled. This is called voltage controlled current source transistor amplifier, or alternately it is called transconductance amplifier. So these are the two ways of representing the hybrid pi model, once with current amplifier, another with transconductance amplifier model. Here we will use this transconductance amplifier model, that is voltage controlled current source transistor amplifier model, to understand the high frequency response of transistor amplifier. So let us proceed with the original discussion. So let us complete this diagram in the next page. So this was the circuit for us. Now let us represent its equivalent hybrid pi model. So first draw the BJT model for the BJT. A resistance and a voltage controlled current source in parallel. What is the value of this resistance? This is R pi, and across it the voltage is V pi. This is base, this is emitter is grounded because of common emitter model, and this is collector. This IC is, we have seen, it is GM V pi. So this is the BJT part, and now we should be drawing the rest part. This R1 and R2 in parallel will give us a resistance RB. So this is RB, which is nothing but R1 parallel with R2. Okay, and there will be input varying capacitance, which is CWI. So another capacitance will be here. It is something like this, and this is CWI. Okay, the input varying capacitance parallel to RB, it is shown, and this is connected with the input source Vs. You can see over here, this is Vs. Okay, and between this Vs a resistance is there, this one, which is Rs, in series with Vs. Okay, and there at the input side there will be a capacitor between base and emitter, and that will be called this capacitor is CBE. There will be a capacitor between base and collector. This is my CBC, and there will be a capacitor between collector and emitter, between these two, CC, and also at the output side there will be a capacitor for stray varying capacitance, which is CWO, like this CWI. it is having two capacitances, and also there is a resistance at the output side which is RC, that will come in parallel to this CWO. So this is my RC, this is my RC, and from here we can get the output VO. Now here in this circuit, resistance RO, the output impedance for this circuit, is not considered because of very high value, considered because of very high value. Why? Because for high value resistance, that will mean it will act as an open circuit, so no signal will flow through that. So if we now analyze this equivalent model using hybrid pi for this circuit in case of high frequency response, so this is high frequency AC equivalent model using hybrid pi for small signal. Now if we want to have a closer look on this circuit, on this model, we can see that only this CBC capacitor will not be allowing us to differentiate the input side and the output side, because CBC is a common capacitor to both. It is something like a feedback capacitor. So we need to eliminate this feedback between input and output, and for that we need to apply to separate CBC between input and output. We need to apply a theorem which is called Miller's theorem. Or the concept of Miller effect. The concept of Miller effect. Now let us see what is that, and how with the help of this Miller's theorem this CBC can be separated between the input side and the output side. But before going into that, let us mark this VB node, this node marked by B and this node marked by C, with voltages Vx and Vy respectively. So Vy is the node voltage at point C, and Vx is the node voltage at point B. So Vy node voltage at B and Vx node voltage at Vy at C and Vx at B. Okay, so from here we can get the voltage gain. So this is Vy is output node voltage and Vx is input node voltage. So what is voltage gain? Output node voltage divided by input node voltage. That means Vy by Vx. Now using Miller's theorem, Zmi, that is, after using the Miller's theorem, the total input impedance for the transistor, for the BJT, denoted by Zmi, which is Z. Z is the impedance before the Miller's theorem had been applied for the BJT. So Z is input impedance of BJT amplifier or transistor amplifier, and Zmi input impedance after applying Miller's theorem on BJT amplifier. So this ZMI is equal to Z after the theorem is applied, the impedance is reduced by a factor A1 minus AV, where AV is given by Vy by Vx. That means this much amount of voltage gain will be reduced. Now you will be seeing at a later stage when we will be discussing about feedback amplifier that how the effect of feedback can be can influence the input and output impedance of any amplifying circuit. And here also the use of Miller's theorem will be influencing the value of input and output impedance of the transistor amplifier. The input impedance is reduced by a factor 1 minus AV, where AV is Vy by Vx, and ZMO similarly for output impedance, it is reduced by a factor 1 minus 1 by AV. So these are the two relations after the application of Miller's theorem. So here Z is, I have told you, it is input impedance of BJT amplifier when it is related to the capacitive reactance of CBC. That means when it is input impedance of BJT amplifier when it is represented by the capacitive reactance of CBC. That means the capacitor which we are going to separate out for the input and output circuit. This reactance will be the primary responsible factor to influence the input impedance of BJT amplifier, and from there we can get the modified impedance as ZMI at the input side and ZMO at the output side, where this gain AV will be influencing that part. So for and also for common emitter mode of operation, you know that AV is actually negative. So this is actually 1 plus AV, because 1 minus AV is negative, means 1 minus or minus AV, that is 1 plus AV. Now as you know, the capacitive reactance Xc is proportional to 1 by 2 pi Fc, or rather it is, we can say it is 1 by C. So we can say that the capacitive reactance is inversely proportional to the value of the capacitance. So if we apply this idea, the relation between value of the capacitance with the capacitive reactance into this ZMI and ZMO, so we can say that this Z, which is actually the capacitive reactance of CBC with which it is represented with, this is actually inversely proportional to C, inversely proportional to capacitive value C. So we can say that from ZMI, if we want to calculate CMI, that means it is inversely proportional to C. That means it should be written as 1 by C or 1 by CMI. So if we now calculate CMI, this will be inverted. So 1 minus AV will be just inverted. So it will become 1 by 1 minus AV will become 1 minus AV into CBC. That means just invert this, since this is inversely proportional, just invert this relation to get CMI from ZMI, and this Z will become CBC, and 1 by AV will go from denominator to the numerator. So the relation will be modified like this, and this relation will be modified as CMO equal to 1 minus 1 by AV. This will go in the numerator into CBC. So we can say that we are getting two equations from here in terms of CMI and CMO, from which if we solve from this using this relation CMI, we should be getting one frequency of upper cutoff, and the CMO will provide us another frequency of upper cutoff. So we should be getting we can solve for two upper cutoff frequencies using these two equations, CMI and CMO. Now introducing this CMI and CMO into this circuit, this will be giving us a modified AC equivalent circuit. So let us draw that. So this is Vs, in series there is Rs, we have used capital R, this is capital Rs. Now there will be a capacitor first, which is CMI at the input side, then parallel to it there will be a junction capacitor, which is CBC, between base and collector. Then there will be a capacitor, not CBC, it should be between base and emitter, actually CBE, not CBC, it is CBE, because from CBC we are getting CMI already, so this should be CBE. Then the third capacitor is for the varying capacitor representation, input varying capacitor, which is CWI. Then we will be getting the RB, which is parallel combination of R1 and R2. So there is the input part, input side, and now we should be getting the transistor model. The hybrid model, this is R pi, and this voltage controlled current source is GMV pi. Then there will be the collector resistance RC, this is RC. Then there will be the representation of output varying capacitance, this will be this, so this is CWO. Then there will be CCE, that means, so parallel to this CWO, it is the junction capacitance between collector and emitter, that is CCE. And then there will be CMO, the output Miller capacitor. So this is CMO, and finally it will be the load it will be a load resistance. If you have a load resistance with that, we will be having a load resistance, which is RL, and across the load resistance we should be getting the voltage VO. So here finally we will be getting the voltage VO, Vout or VO, and this is grounded. This is the emitter, this is the base having voltage Vx, and this is the collector terminal having voltage Vy. So this is all about the modified AC equivalent model of BJT amplifier in common emitter mode for small signal high frequency response. Okay, so if we analyze this circuit, we can observe that this part, the input part, this part is the input circuit. If we solve this input circuit, we will be getting a frequency, upper cutoff frequency, which is suppose denoted by FHI. This is nothing but an RC circuit, and if we solve this part excluding the source, all these capacitors and resistors, this is the output circuit. This is also another RC circuit, and we may get from here another FHO. So solving two RC circuit combinations, we will be getting FHI and FHO, that is two values of upper cutoff frequency.